All right, listeners. Are you ready for something a little different today?
Different, good.
Yeah, because today we're diving into this fiery sermon. It's from a YouTube channel called The Bible Audio Experience. And the title is a little, well,
Out there.
yeah, a little out there. It's called Get Covered by God in Just 5 Minutes a Day.
5 minutes, huh?
Yeah, no, 5 minutes to divine intervention.
Well, it's faster than instant ramen, that's for sure.
Exactly. I know. That's what I was thinking. Like 5 minutes.
A bold claim.
It is. It is. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking right now, like, "Ugh, another religious thing." But even if organized religion isn't really your cup of tea,
Yeah.
I think you should stick with us for this one because this sermon, it actually touches on some pretty universal themes. Things like,
How resilience.
yeah, resilience and even that age-old quest for inner strength that we all seem to be on.
The human thing, right?
Right, absolutely, human thing. And, the delivery of this sermon,
Oh, yeah, it's intense, right?
intense, almost theatrical. Yeah, passionate. You can tell it's aimed at people who are
Yeah, definitely people who are seeking comfort.
seeking comfort and guidance. Yeah, through
Yeah.
faith, through faith. So let's move past the style for a second, that kind of presentation style, and get into the substance here. One of the core messages of this sermon
One of the core messages is about worth,
about worth. Yeah,
that your true worth isn't tied to the challenges you face, but it's tied to something larger, something I guess you could call a constant
support system. Yeah.
support system, safety net.
I mean, that really resonates with me, right? We all hit rough patches in life.
Oh, yeah.
No one's immune to that. But this idea of having something bigger, something beyond us, holding us steady, that's pretty appealing no matter what your belief system is.
It is appealing, that's for sure. So how does this 5-minute sermon, how does it even begin to deliver on that promise?
Mm.
A 5-minute sermon, how are they going to,
Right, right. How do you even get there?
how do you even get there?
In 5 minutes?
Well, it's interesting. One of the things they do is encourage a fascinating, I think, mental shift.
Mental shift. Okay.
Yeah, instead of seeing hardships as setbacks,
Mm-hmm.
it frames them as opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
Opportunities for something, well, godly
Mm-hmm.
to work through you, almost like a spiritual judo move.
Okay. I like that. I'm intrigued. So using the opponent's force against them,
Mm-hmm.
it's a little more nuanced than I expected going into this.
It is. It is.
So to really drive home this point, the sermon actually uses a pretty powerful analogy.
Powerful analogy. Let's hear it.
Okay, yeah, it says, God didn't just send help, he sent his own son.
Whoa. I mean, on one level, just on the surface level, I think it emphasizes God's investment in humanity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
God's not just some distant observer, right?
Yeah.
He's deeply involved.
Involved even to the point of sacrifice.
The point of sacrifice. Yeah.
Right. It's almost like saying, hey, I'm all in on you, even when things are tough. That's a pretty potent message of support.
Potent, yeah.
Hmm.
And unwavering support at that. But I think, there's more to it than that, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. What else is there? What else do we get from that statement?
It gets at, I think, the nature of God, this concept of sending his son.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it could be interpreted as God extending a part of himself to humanity,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Bridging the gap between the divine and the human.
Yeah, yeah. I see that.
But it also raises some questions like, why send his son at all?
Right. Why?
What does that say about the nature of suffering? And
Whoa, we're getting philosophical here.
a little bit.
A little bit, but that's good.
Yeah, it's good.
So we've got this idea of support, right? Even sacrifice from a higher power. But then the sermon goes on to talk about turning weakness into strength.
Oh, this is a good part.
Yeah, I love this part. There's this great line, your challenges, they're not limitations, they're invitations for God's strength to be made perfect.
That's good. It's almost like it's a spiritual twist on, a classic self-help concept, right?
Yeah.
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 We see this all the time in psychology, in Stoicism, right?
Yeah.
Reframing difficulty as opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
But here, it's God's strength that's being perfected through our struggles.
Through our struggles, yeah.
Almost like we're the crucible for something greater.
That is fascinating. Mind-blowing, if you really think about it.
It is. It is.
So we've got support, we've got opportunity, and now we've got this idea of something greater working through us.
Sounds like, what, a recipe for resilience or something?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And then it leans hard into that
Yeah, but,
idea of overcoming. Yeah, it says, tribulation, distress, persecution. Paul says we are more than conquerors. And to give some context, Paul was
Yeah, he was an early Christian figure.
an early Christian figure who faced a lot of
But we did. He did.
tribulation, distress, and persecution himself.
That's an understatement.
Yeah, right?
He did.
So when he talks about being more than conquerors,
Yeah, he's not just throwing out some motivational slogan. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's coming from a place of deep experience.
it's coming from experience.
Ah.
And it's interesting, too, because it doesn't just say survive.
It doesn't say survive,
Right.
but it says conquer.
Yeah.
Like there's this inherent potential for victory, even amidst, the hardest of times.
Right. Hardship. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
This 5-minute sermon's packing a punch. It's not shying away from difficult experiences, but it's also not letting them have the final word.
No, it's not.
And then it kicks things up, another notch,
Oh, yeah, tell me about it.
talking about the power within.
Uh-huh. Inner strength
Yeah.
with the line,
Yeah.
the same power that raised Jesus from the dead resides within you.
So now it's not just about divine support from somewhere else, right? It's about this divine power that's
It resides within us.
rides within us.
I mean, that resonates even outside of religion. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
We've all had those moments where we've tapped into, like unexpected reserves of strength, right?
Yes, totally.
Yeah.
Like, where did that come from?
Like, where did that come from?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's saying that that potential isn't just human, it's literally divine. This is a deep dive.
It is. Deep dive indeed.
We've got reframing challenges, divine support, conquering tribulation, inner power, and there's still more.
Oh, there's more. There's a whole nother layer to unpack here.
I can't wait. This is good. Let's keep going.
Let's keep going, all right?
Yeah.
And this is where the sermon kind of takes a turn toward like something almost primal.
Primal. Okay.
Yeah, this deep human need
Okay.
for belonging.
Belonging. Okay.
Yeah, and it talks about adoption and inheritance.
Okay.
With the line, you are a child of God, you have an inheritance that goes beyond anything this world can offer.
Inheritance, I get that. We all hope for something good to come our way.
Right.
Whether it's tangible or spiritual, more
Yeah.
intangible, but child of God,
Loaded term.
it's a loaded term.
It is very loaded.
Right.
Absolutely. I mean, for those within the faith, it signifies, a very special relationship, like almost a chosen status,
Mm.
But even for those outside of the faith, I think, it taps into that universal yearning for connection,
Yeah, connection.
for purpose. Like we're not just these random beings, fling into existence, but we belong to something larger, something more meaningful.
So even if someone isn't, particularly religious, that idea of inherent worth, of having a place in the grand scheme of things, that's
Powerful.
powerful stuff.
It is, and it
Yeah.
ties back to those earlier things we were talking about,
Yeah.
Like if we face challenges not as defeats, but as opportunities for growth, right? And
Right.
if we have this divine power within us,
Yeah.
then this whole child of God concept becomes almost
And what a
like,
birthright?
a birthright, a source of strength and resilience, I think.
Mind blown again.
Yeah, I know, right?
We started with 5 minutes to divine coverage, and now we're talking about like existential belonging.
Existential belonging.
Inherent worth. This is pretty sneakily profound.
Yeah, this sermon, I know. It's easy to dismiss something if it's short and fiery.
Right.
But there's real depth here, and I think for the listener, even if they don't subscribe to the specific theology, there's a lot to chew on here.
A lot to chew on for
Yeah.
sure. So like
Yeah.
what if we reframe our own, challenges turned opportunities, but not in like everything happens for a reason kind of way,
Right.
but more like how can I use this to tap into my own strength?
Yeah.
To tap into my own sense of purpose,
That's a great question, and it kind of brings up another interesting point from the sermon, I think.
Yeah.
It emphasizes not just overcoming, but being more than a conqueror.
More than a conqueror, right?
What does that even mean?
Yeah.
Is that just, hyperbole, or is there something deeper there?
Ooh, I like that. So it's not just about getting through like the tough times.
Yeah.
It's about like thriving, evolving,
Is it right?
becoming something more because of those struggles.
Exactly. And maybe that more is connected to this child of God idea.
Mhm.
If we have this inherent worth, this connection to something bigger,
Yeah.
then maybe hardship isn't just something to endure,
Yeah.
but it's like a a catalyst
Catalyst.
for realizing our full potential.
I'm starting to see why this sermon resonates with people. It's offering more than just,
Comfort.
comfort. It's offering like a
Path
path.
to empowerment.
Yeah, to empowerment.
Just doing it through like this combination of powerful imagery and relatable human experiences and even a touch of mystery.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It doesn't lay everything out neatly,
Yeah.
which I think leaves room for personal interpretation and reflection.
Which is what makes this deep dive so fascinating.
It is. It is.
We're not just summarizing a sermon. We're exploring its deeper implications, its potential impact on how we view ourselves and how we view the world.
Yeah. And hopefully prompting the listener to do the same.
Exactly.
Because ultimately, I think the most powerful messages, they're the ones that spark our own internal dialogues, our own journeys of self-discovery.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we've unpacked the core message, we've explored the imagery, we've delved into the philosophical and the psychological undercurrents. I mean, where do we go from here? What's the takeaway, for our listener, whether they're, spiritual, skeptical, or somewhere in between?
Well, I think this sermon, in its own, kind of fiery way,
Right.
it offers like a set of tools.
Okay, tools.
Yeah, tools for navigating, life's challenges.
Okay.
It's about reframing our perspective, recognizing our inner strength,
Mm,
and finding a sense of belonging. That goes beyond, the material world.
I love that. Tools, not just beliefs.
Exactly.
And Nate, if someone isn't buying the whole, divine intervention package,
Right, right.
those tools can still be incredibly valuable.
Absolutely. I mean, it's like take what resonates,
Yeah.
leave what doesn't, but, don't underestimate the power of a message just because it comes from a source you might not initially agree with.
That's a great point. We can learn from unexpected places.
Yeah, yeah.
Find wisdom in the most surprising corners of the internet.
Which is kind of like the whole point of this deep dive, right?
Yeah.
To explore, to analyze, to find those nuggets of insight
Yeah.
that can help us navigate our own, complex world.
Beautifully said. Yeah, beautifully said. And speaking of navigating,
Yeah.
this sermon leaves us with a pretty powerful question.
Okay.
One that I think applies to everyone, regardless of their spiritual leanings.
Ooh, okay. I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
What's the question? What's the question that's got you pondering?
Well, it goes back to that idea of being more than conquerors,
Yeah.
and the sermon doesn't really define it,
Right.
which I think is brilliant.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It leaves us with this challenge about what does it mean in your life, to
Yeah.
be more than just getting by, to be more than just surviving.
I love that. It's so thought-provoking
Yeah.
because it really pushes us beyond mere survival
Yeah,
into this realm of thriving.
thriving.
And it connects beautifully with everything we've been talking about.
Right.
If we view challenges as opportunities, if we tap into that inner strength, if we embrace our inherent worth,
Yeah,
then becoming more than a conqueror seems like a natural progression,
it does. It's almost like a call to action.
Yeah.
Don't just endure, don't just overcome.
Yeah.
Use those experiences to fuel your growth, your evolution.
Become the hero of your own story.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. And maybe that's the most important takeaway from this entire deep dive.
Yeah.
This 5-minute sermon with its fiery delivery and its biblical references ultimately points us towards a very human, very personal journey. It's about finding our own meaning,
Our own meaning.
our own strength, our own definition of more than.
I love it. It's like we started with this almost kitschy idea of 5-minute divine coverage.
Right.
And we ended up exploring some really deep, almost like existential concepts. Who knew a YouTube sermon could spark such a profound conversation?
That's the beauty of ideas, isn't it?
Yeah.
They come from these unexpected places, they challenge our assumptions, and they lead us down these fascinating paths of discovery.
And I think that's a great note to end on.
Yeah.
So whether you found this deep dive thought-provoking, challenging, maybe even a little bit amusing,
Yeah.
I hope it sparked some curiosity.
Some introspect.
Some introspection, because ultimately I think the most valuable knowledge
Yeah.
is the kind that makes us think, that pushes us to question, that inspires us to become a little more than we were yesterday.
Beautifully said. And remember, listeners, your journey of becoming more than is unique, and it's ever evolving.
Yeah.
So embrace those challenges, tap into that inner strength, and and never stop exploring the depths of your own potential.
Until next time, keep diving deep.